It's your country boy.
And your city girl, Elaine.
Yeah.
And who are you?
And I'm Eric.
There we go.
And everything. Look, we are back
Yes.
of E Square
Yes.
at ericandelaine.com. This is our Healthy or Healed by Relationship
Yes.
series. And listen, from our live last week, we've had some response wanting to know more, and we have some people who know more.
Yes.
Who did. Besides, y'all hear from us all the time.
All the time.
So we want to bring some people. We met them on last year doing Sukkot. It's been a
blessing.
So the things
a breath of fresh air.
Hands down.
Yes.
We hadn't seen and talked to them since Sukkot.
I know. Huh?
But there.
Well, me and my sis, we kind of texted in there.
So
that's how we do.
Anyway,
that's how we do.
Good. We watch. Right? No, but my man had a setup. Because we were still working, even while there. So we didn't get to see. We saw in the distance there was a rising of a tent. I don't even know if you can call it a tent.
Yeah.
But in the distance, we saw
this big white.
Oh, it was green.
It was white. See,
it was white.
Now y'all finna make us married.
No, wait a minute.
It's gonna be a marriage segment.
Wait a minute.
It was white, and we'll ask them. But anyway,
we're gonna find out.
We'll find out.
I saw it
that I'm right
in the distance. Maybe it was the atmosphere.
Okay.
But I saw it coming up in the distance. I say, what in the world? Is the president in town?
It was massive.
It was a
massive tent. Yeah.
So for those who don't know about Sukkot or the Feast of Tabernacles, this is a pilgrimage that the scripture talks about, where the Israelites had to go and go to Jerusalem and whatnot, and they lived in booths. They stayed in booths or tabernacles, tents. For 7 days, all right, 8 days. So anyway, so we were there. They did a presentation. We missed the presentation, but we fixing to bring it to y'all.
Yes.
We missed out on, but just in the time that we had a chance to talk around the fires, around the barn fires at night and everything, and talk about different things. This brother was talking about yurts. I was like, a yurt?
What? A word?
Not a word. Yurt. and some of these other types of housing or whatnot, alternative housing opportunities, and so on and so forth. Yeah. It was insightful, right? Yeah. So in we showed you guys the picture, and if you've seen the thumbnail, it was of Noah. People laughed at Noah. Yeah. Because they had never seen anything like that. Right. And it's interesting that in that time, there were things that was about to happen, right? But he, the preppers like to say that he was the first prepper, right? So last week we talked about how this whole, thing that's happening overseas, and how there were threats that were being made on the U.S. soil. And, in relationships, how do you begin to function positively in a climate like we have today? So anyway, without further ado, we're going to bring forth my brother from another mother and sister from another
sister from another mister.
Why is always got to be
I'm territorial like that. But anyway. This is our fam, y'all, and literally they are the Johnsons as well.
See?
So, we're claiming them already. But anyway, as Eric said, last week we talked about, all of those dynamics that are really happening in our world. And we as a people, a nation of people, right, we must have these conversations. We must begin to talk about like what this what should we do? What should we expect? And not only, and if but it's more of a win should we start preparing.
Right.
So we're excited about bringing them on.
Yes, bringing them on. And listen, y'all, hey, this is a family thing.
Yes.
So we got our little nephew there, right?
Let us see him, put him in the camera.
This is real life. This is real life.
Yes.
It's real life.
Yeah, he's trying to shut the broadcast down. I'm sorry.
Hey, look, y'all know we got like 19 children and counting, but okay, never mind. But so listen, this is where we understand we homeschool, we understand all of the dynamics of always having your children with you at meetings and business or otherwise. So he's at home. He's got so big.
Yes.
Juicy. Okay, let me come back. Eric want me to come back. So
this
we
is
have
our family from Aurora.
Aurora.
From the expanded plains.
Oh, okay, we're looking over.
Of Colorado.
Okay, all right, Colorado.
With the backdrop of the Rocky Mountains.
Okay.
Where you hear the eagles cry.
Okay, the eagles.
All that good stuff. The great frontier.
Okay.
Of Colorado.
Welcome,
Johnsons.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, our fam from Colorado. We appreciate y'all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. So, tell us about just about you guys. How long have you guys been married?
16 years in June.
16 years in June.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I saw to look over.
Well, because I always start counting by kids' numbers. So I have to catch up. Like whose birthday? Okay, and then answer the question.
Yeah. So, we're familiar. We're familiar. Yeah. Because we were.
How many kids we had at that time?
Yeah. We know how that's done.
The children become benchmarks in your history.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. It's like rings on the tree.
Yeah. But you know what? I will say this. What impressed me so much about meeting your family last September, I think it was just the conversation. We were all, of course, like it was like we knew each other, but the preparedness, the more we talked, and y'all talked about how y'all handled emergency preparedness, just overall. And that was so impressive for me. And I'm just saying my experience with meeting your family, from, the sons to the sisters, to everybody, the nieces. And so I love the way that, y'all shared how JD is the master trainer.
Yeah.
So, as we're talking about, like, what, tell us, like, why? What made you get into that?
I need the demographics of the kids.
You want the demographics of the children?
The family.
They're bringing the children's in
how
here.
The family, the demographics of the children.
Okay, we got all boys. We got 4 boys. We got our eldest. He is 17, about to be 18 this month. We have an 8-year-old. We have a 5-year-old, and this guy over here, he is almost 8 months.
Yes.
You're trying to be the boss already.
Okay. Listen, they got their reign. I will say they have their reign before you reel them in.
You almost had them to where it was one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary.
Almost.
What is it? Almost. So one is about to fly the coop and everything and whatnot. And so that is awesome. So all sons.
Oh boy.
All boys.
So this is called when you have 4, that's the starter pack. That's the starter pack.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the starter pack. I figured you wouldn't agree with that.
I think we winding up.
I figured you wouldn't.
That wasn't me, sis. That was all here. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, because hands down, again, one of the things that when you have a need, when some things come up, you just being able to know folks who because again, this whole SHFT, did I say it right?
Tia.
Yeah.
Yes.
HSTF thing came about was when when Ukraine and all of that happened, and we decided we was going to talk to folks that they needed to prepare. That was some preparing that we did, but when a need came up, I was like, I know who could better talk about this. Besides it just being me and Elaine, to talk about this would be you guys and Kiefer and Wendy and and everything. But the first things, hands down, again, thank you for coming. But we want to know, like Elaine said, why?
Yeah.
Why prep? What was your all's why?
My why was, I think, a turn of manhood. You know, I had a family to take care of, and what happened for me was back when we had the first, well, for us, the first bubble, when we hit the economic bubble. What was that, back in
2008?
Yeah, 2008.
You know, I've always been taught, get a job, get a good job. As long as you work, you'll be okay. And I was working, and we had money, and we were doing stuff. We would do all kind of things, and I would just spend money, and you're young too, so you're learning how to take care of your family. And then the bubble happened, and then I lost my job. And I remember it one day, I had a job, and then it was gone. And then I had to start thinking real quick, what do we need and not need? We started making cuts. We started applying for this and applying for that. But I'm the type of person where my mind just it can keep going and keep going sometimes. And I remember I was just worried about my family, and I remember praying about that. And then, Elohim just showed me a bunch of things that I was leaving on the table. What if this gets worse? What about the Great Depression? How did they get through that? And how wasteful we were. And I actually went to a school where they trained me on green building and renewable building. And in that process, I learned so much about how wasteful we are. And so for me, I had to make a shift in my thinking, and I started thinking more about long-term solutions, long-term investments, and of course that comes with long-term protection. Like, what if I'm not here? What will my family be left with? So you start thinking about all those things, and I want to be able to protect them even if something happens to me, and I'm gone. I want them to be able to protect each other, So that was the main shift for me.
Yeah.
And my wife, she just comes from an awesome, like, her grandmother was just awesome. Her grandmother used to hunt and do all kinds of stuff. So she always kind of just was born with it. You know what I mean? So,
so tell us about that.
Yeah. So, well, like you said, my grandma used to hunt, can, make clothing from scratch, and that's how we were raised. You know what I mean? That's where we grew up in. That's what I seen all the time.
Yeah.
So I had that programmed into my mind, into my spirit, my fabric, that's who I am and how I wanted to live my life. Gardening, all of that.
Wow. Okay. So it was like second nature for both of you then. Well, especially for you, Caprice, because that, being around that and seeing, that really made it like, this is the way of life.
It's doable.
Yeah. It's so it wasn't anything strange, because that was, one of my questions was as a woman and as a wife, because when I met you guys and y'all talked about the, how JD, he trained all of y'all, like everybody knows how to put up a tent, and everybody knows how, from the smallest to the the eldest to the youngest, right? And that is amazing. Now, I'm not trying to, give you no tips, baby, because let me just keep me out the clip.
Thank you, JD. Yeah, come on, you're gonna learn how to do.
Well, but I birthed you. I birthed you to people anyway.
The hands.
I did, but but I think that's beautiful. So it was not a hard transition, is what I'm getting at for you as a couple.
So let's go to how did y'all come to that why? So I know you just said in 2008 is the collapse, the economic collapse, the bubble burst or whatnot.
Yeah.
So did you come home and have a conversation?
Yeah.
With Caprice and then y'all talk about it, or how did that happen?
I think what happened for us was just communication. I think there was a bunch of major steps along that journey, because we both used to look at our life and always complain about the other one. We don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need. But when that happened, for me, two things happened. And that was everything that my wife was telling me was true. So I started paying more attention to what my wife was saying. I was like, we don't really need all of these things, because there's a weird place that you can be as a couple. Sometimes it's like my wife said to me many times, I could live in a tent, and I'll be like, knowing how rough that is, like there's you saying that, you just talking, but no, seriously, my wife can live in a tent. She can be okay, and I know that with confidence now. That as rough as it gets, she's like, home is where we at. As long as we got each other, then we at home. So
come on, sis. Yeah.
Now I know that she ain't just bluffing. And so that takes you to another place. And then the other part of it is shared experience. When I was learning all of these things and I've had a lot of awesome experiences in my life. Like I did some missionary work in Mexico. And that sheds light on how people are living outside this country, as far as, for a young man, you come from the hood and you go somewhere else and you like, oh, this is real poverty. Oh, okay.
Right.
I need to shut up and, be thankful for what I got. And so, it's just shared experience. We talk to each other, we communicate. And some of the things I was telling her, we started investigating in all of the different ways of life that you can live and really simplify things. And at the same time, simple elegance and still have and be prepared about things, So then, of course, your political views and the things that you see happening in the world start really affecting you. You go into a place of, I need to protect my family. Yes. And that just it shifts into another level of being prepared, So, and you look at how many things we depend on that we really don't need.
Right. So I love the fact that you said communication and talking about it. You will need to come home. I'm the man, and this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But it was a
wait. Caprice is like, what? She fell out laughing.
So at the same time, it's understanding. You're functioning as the husbandman, right? Nurturing. It's all about nurturing and caring for your family. And for some of y'all who are getting afraid. Concerned about child, I ain't no, or dude, man, I ain't I'm a man, I'm gonna provide, I'm gonna do this, okay. Those same people last week we showed the video of how they were showing these average people, these regular, what they call them, middle class European people who were taken from their homes. Okay, so all of that puff up and you can't. You're not going to be able to. No, you got to know how to handle and be effective in the circumstances where you are. But good communication is key regarding that.
Yeah.
So now we're going to ease into the prepping situation. Okay, what does prepping mean to you? Does it mean like thousands of cans of tuna? Does it mean I'm going into this bunker? That's all right.
They got Cujo.
Yeah, our eldest is coming home right now. And the dog's
okay.
That's all right. So this real life, y'all.
The dog is doing what he do. The dog will do
live
what
and
he's
uncut.
supposed to do.
That's right. That's right. So what does prepping, what does it mean? Define it to us in your terms, the both of you.
I think prepping is twofold. It's spiritual and it's physical.
Right.
Because you need to know what prophecy says, yes, but you also need to know the promises of the Most High. Because if he says he's going to care for you, then you should trust in that and believe that he's going to care for you. So then when these things start to happen, you're not operating in fear, but you're operating in purpose. And then I think also with the physical part, your body is so much stronger than people give it credit for. Your body is designed to heal itself and actually endure more than you think that you can. We think it's important that our children fast. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, they're so little. But it's important to know what that really feels like to be hungry. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about I'm hungry, but it's because you didn't get a snack, you're not hungry.
Yes.
Right.
You just want to drink some water today.
Yeah, exactly. Get some water. You just want something to taste.
That's one of the big things I've been going on about now is I don't care how it tastes. What is it doing for your body? Getting the kids to understand that not everything has to taste good to be beneficial to your body. Prepping to me is preparing your mind to endure.
Wow.
Period.
I like that.
Preparing your spirit to endure. Period. And trying to maintain the safety of your family. Because that's your position. Everybody wants to get into this hunter-gatherer. No, you need to protect and provide. You have to protect, provide, and of course we procreate. So you got to take care of that. You got to be a good steward with what you've been blessed with. And so that's part of it is protecting your family, and educating your family. And I think if you're doing it successfully, then you have to do it for the long run, and you have to have a plan that's going to outlive you. You can, I can, I need to teach my son everything I know and teach him how to learn and add to the repertoire, and expand, be able to expand and build on what I know. Because if I don't do that, then I'm not being a good father, and he's gonna fail somewhere where he could have been successful. So it's filling voids. Like there's a lot of people who have looked at me like a cuckoo crazy person over the years, but when COVID hit, you started seeing all them death matches over toilet paper. All of a sudden, JD not too crazy. She'll tell you my phone. How many hour-long conversations did I have?
It was blowing up.
Wow.
People they started thinking about stuff I used to tell them, and I was like, "This is what you're gonna see happening." Then it started happening, and now all of a sudden it's like, man, maybe there was something to what he's saying. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot.
So were the phone calls that you were receiving, were they family and friends, or was it family or both?
It's both.
Family, friends, co-workers.
Wow.
Because we both have been telling people for a while, buy water. Just when you go to the grocery store, buy a case of water. Just automatically let that be your thing. If you buy so many cans of vegetables, buy an extra can. You know what I mean? Just put that away. And shortly thereafter, then also after I know Texas had a freeze, and I have a friend down there, and she was like, all of what you were saying, I said, I'm trying to tell you, and I've been telling you, get your stuff together so you're not scrambling last minute.
I mean, we've seen multiple times our government, like people, I don't know, they have this weird state of mind that if something happens, there's going to be somebody there to help you. Well, you saw what happened in Puerto Rico. Right. Nobody, I mean, they're still digging out a rebel over there. We saw what happened with Katrina. There's still, it still hasn't 100% recovered down there. And for us to not be living in a third world, there's a lot of stuff undone. And so you need, and people will tell you living in those situations that had they not had some sort of provision, they would have been in a whole lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
A whole lot of trouble.
I mean, because it doesn't even take a terrible catastrophe like the Texas freeze, well, like the hurricane or earthquake. It can be like a hurricane, like the grid going down and so on and so forth. But even, let's say a tornado hit, in your area was impacted and so on and so forth, and what we deal with flooding, it floods, whatever's out there, it is what it is. Natural disasters will happen, so just being prepared. If the supply chain were to go down, how long would you last? How do you calculate and ration out your food? All of these different things. So, but that's what prepping means to you guys. So you already answered, how did it come about in 2008? It came about in that way. Let's go more into the conversation, and I think we kind of covered that too, as far as the impact on the marriage. Let's go into, how did it impact the kids? What were the thoughts? Did you have kickback from the children? Did they not understand? What was it like when you start making those changes and making those decisions? That they were going to do certain things. How did that go?
Well, for me, I'll bottom line it. All our kids were born into it. Except for our oldest. He was here to see the changes, but it really wasn't a change, because I've always been like a weapon guy and martial arts and hand-to-hand combat type of person. So I've been training him how to box since he was 2. Since he was 2 years old, he knows how to throw a punch. So for him, life didn't change. It got a lot more fun.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff.
He was able to utilize that.
Right. So there's a lot more for him. Like, he's had a different life. Like, he goes to the gun range.
Right.
He knows how to handle himself.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that. I worry about him hitting somebody too hard. If something, that's what I worry about. But he's like really cool.
He's level-headed.
Yeah.
And so I just hope don't nobody ever have to experience nothing from like that.
Right.
But
he's prepared.
The children, let me tell you
equipped.
this. I think it's only our people who we worry about the children, because I know some people who, man, I'm just gonna say it. These other people, they are training their children. They can send their kids to come kill you.
Yes.
I know some kids that will hit a fast line. If anybody knows what that is, that's that zip line where they zzz, and they can hit that fast line and shoot at targets while they going.
Wow.
They can hit a fast line, kill you before they hit the ground. So I think we need to spend more time prioritizing and teaching our children how to be prepared, because the other folks are already doing it.
Yeah.
And there's who are training their children to be prepared. So
I think same thing with, like, as far, yes, the weaponry, but as far as even cooking and preparing how to prepare fish. You catch it, scale it. What do? You know what I mean? Not being scared. That's something that my grandma made me do as a little bitty kid. I was like, but she was like, no, you don't do this. And so now, even with my children, you're gonna go over here and figure this out. We're gonna work this out. They garden with me. They love gardening. They are around when I make tinctures and butters and stuff like that. They're not too excited about the tinctures because they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to taste this. But they're
tincture just don't sound right.
Tincture don't sound tasty, huh?
I'm like, put a little honey on it, you'd be all right.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah,
a little natural sweetness.
Growing up, seeing this process happen, so it's life.
Right.
It's not something odd. I think our oldest, he got more excited because it was like, oh, I get more toys. I get to actually go out now. I get to use all my toys. So he's excited about that. And then he got, of course, his cousins and stuff, and we've gone camping and do different things with them. And so they're like, he's like, oh yeah, I get to show out, kind of, like. So I think it's been exciting for him.
Yeah. And you know what? That is so true. How, other cultures, that's normal for them, right?
Right.
Our girls, the two youngest, they were involved in shooting sports for 3 years. And they were the onlys in the room throughout the entire 3 years. And even when we went to state competitions, right, it was literally more than 300 families.
But that was the national.
But the national, yeah, they went all the way to national with the team.
300 families.
Yes, and it was only a handful that would look like us, and that's what we learned.
And that was 3 or 4 families, but then there was some kids who were foster children.
Yeah.
Who didn't have a Black family. But it's interesting. We're getting reports out of Ukraine that they are arming the men. Right. So imagine these guys who never handled a gun before. That was one report with this guy. He had never handled a gun before. And it's just interesting that, in a situation like that, for instance, besides guns, I remember when Hurricane Ike hit, and we were here, and it's just interesting how people didn't have the forethought to smoke all your meat, so you don't lose your meat out your freezer.
Right.
Some of those practical things,
right,
that you cure your meat so that you can, eat it later. Now, your salami should be good, but your prime cuts of turkey that you got in there, not so much. But the food, and then too how some people have gotten into, not so much the food prep, but how people really don't cook at home. They're used to eating out,
the
and
conveniences.
the conveniences. So you don't have a freezer full of food.
Right. Or nowadays, it's more common that people can't even cook.
Hands down.
That is
so
true.
What you gonna do when you gotta cook out of a soup can?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
and I think sometimes, unfortunately, and I didn't grow up like that, but I've found that in other families, it's like, oh, well, you teach girls how to do this. And I'm like, but in my family, everybody had to learn, everybody knows how to pickle beets, and everybody knows how to cook a meal. Everybody learned, so it's like my cousins just amongst us. It's odd for us to find other people who don't know these things. And it's like,
wow,
where did y'all grow up? Because this was something that was just mandatory for all the girls, all the boys. We all had to learn how to do it.
That's
right. Good. And we know that there are layers to that conversation, right? Because we have so much of the grandmothers became younger and younger and younger, right? Throughout the over the last 40, 50 years, a generation or so. But to speak to that, the reason why we have this conversation like this is because this is what we need to, it's not too late. Or do you think that it's too late?
No, it's not too late.
No, it's not too late at all. You got to have a plan. You got to start somewhere.
That was my next question. What would you share with people? How can they get started?
I would tell you, you can look at government mandates, right? Like Homeland Security tells people that you should have a gallon of water per day for each person in your house. So when you do the math on that, that's kind of daunting. But like she said earlier, just start buying every time you go to the store. Buy you a case of water and put it aside. At least you have something. It's better to have something than nothing, and then from there, in making those plans, like me, I was like, okay, I need to get my family a week of food. Then that week of food I said, okay, I need to get my family a month of food. And then that I was like, we need to be prepared for 3 months. Then it just, half a year, then a year, and you start building onto these things and putting these things into circulation. But you have to have a plan, because when it happens, it's too late to get ready. And more people, if chaos breaks out, the more people that I mean, the government has said it for years and people don't listen. They say that it's your responsibility as a citizen to have some sort of provision for your family if there's a disaster. Because what does that do? It helps them get the people who really need the help, and it keeps you from having to go out there and endanger yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just with something like, you look at Katrina, if everybody had a month worth of food, nobody would have been out there. They'd have been like, man, well, we cool. We just going to hunker down, stay here and ride this out, but then you get people who end up needing stuff. So they go out there in that water. They end up getting infections. They end up getting hurt. They end up drowning. Like, you're just putting yourself at risk because you don't have a plan to get ready.
And I think it's nothing else, but if more people, especially within community, prepare. Say something happens to this family and everything's gone, because that can happen. But at least you had, sometimes you'll have something floating in the water or something you could at least grab that and bring it to other people. Like, I have something.
Right.
But you can't show up at people's house empty-handed saying, help me, and that's something that we've talked to our own family about. They're like, oh, well, if something happens, we come to y'all's house. Did y'all see how many kids I have? You know what I mean? Wait a minute.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you need to prepare. And then, yes, if you have something to bring to the table, then it's like, okay, but if we only got so many beans, and you're talking about, I want some beans. Well, all my babies got to have beans first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it will come down to stuff that crucial. And we watched all these videos of where, unfortunately, there's even been people who have tried to come in a situation and you have to turn away people you love at gunpoint. And it's like, you don't ever want to get to that point. You know what I mean? So prepare for you and your family, and a little bit extra for somebody else who might not have it together. And that's something else that we've thought about.
Right.
So that was interesting because some who may be shocked that these are things that actually happen. If you think about it, in what happened at the Superdome during Katrina, people change.
Yeah.
When they have a need.
Happens. Yeah.
The Venezuelan prepper was a video, because when Venezuela went through their economic crisis and crash, there was a lot of things happened, and he had a lot of great tips, things that for us, even the guys here in the U.S. that have never been through a situation like that, you begin to see that some of their tips were not good tips because they hadn't been in it. And the gentleman, and if you look, I'll put that link to that video in this description. But this brother talked about how people would go door to door, whether they knew you or not. They went door to door because people are hungry and they want food. They want something to eat and resources. If you look at the book of Eli, have you seen the movie The Book of Eli? It really shows you a glimpse of some of the things that's going on. That could be something that happens. Some things they were trading wipes.
Yeah. Right.
The currency changed. It wasn't about the money. It was about what you had. And the guy asked him, what you had? And the dude pulled out, he pulls out wipes.
That we take for granted, little napkins and
shampoo.
Yeah. But we're talking about, survival.
Oh, and water was a major commodity.
Right.
Yeah. And it always will be.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's also something that's important, is to have a skill and to know what can I see, because people walk over groceries every day and people spray groceries, killing it, thinking it's a weed every day. And it's like, that's groceries, you know what I'm saying? You can eat those. And it's important for people to know, okay, what's in my area that I can use for shampoo? What can I use for body care? What can I use for feminine care? Brushing your teeth.
And then there's a lot of things that you need to do. Like I tell people, like you should have an EDC. That's a terminology that you'll hear preppers use. That's an everyday carry. You know, something simple as like my bracelet, right? This bracelet, it has a light on it, it has a compass on it, it has a paracord. And people who don't know what paracord is, you can take it apart and use it for, you get cordage. If I need to tie a tarp up and have a shelter, if I need to make fishing line, I can use that. I have a fire starter in this thing, a knife in this thing. I mean, it's a little thing, but it's on me. It's what happens, this I carry. This is my everyday carry knife. It's a little bitty knife, but it's good to have a knife on you with some good metal. You need to educate yourself on what type of knife to get. Some, you need to have things on you because I work abroad in Colorado. Everything is 30 minutes away, right? But I'm across the state every day. Like today I went from, and y'all probably won't recognize the names of these places, but I went from Wellington to Boulder to, I was everywhere.
Okay, we heard of Boulder.
For me, I think in terms of numbers, right? So if something happens, I need to be able, no matter where I'm at, to get back to my family within a certain period of time. So we have a certain amount of time that no matter where I'm at, I know I should be able to be prepared and get back to them in any way in this certain amount of time. So they know how much time I got. But why do I have that? Because I'm my family's safety net. My family's survival percentage drops as long as I'm not. You see, good. So me not being there is not an option. I have to have some form of plan in place to make sure that I can at least bridge that gap or increase the percentage of me getting back to them. And people don't think about this. And we live in Colorado, and we hear stories where a lady slid off the highway and they couldn't see her car because it snowed. She lost her feet, but she survived because she followed the rules. She kept a blanket in her car. She kept some water in that car. She kept an extra coat in that car. She was prepared. It's just something that she always did. And then when something happened, she had provision. She's still alive. She made it back home. So, you have to be prepared. And when stuff happens, it's too late to get prepared.
You have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan.
And keep open lines of communication. And I know, especially for young people, and this is something that we have to talk to our young people about, is don't disappear and nobody knows where you are. Don't, I didn't catch the call. You know what I mean? We need to know where you're going, about round time, when you're coming back. And it's not, and I told my nephew, it's not that we're trying to be all in your business, but we need to know for safety reasons. Where are you? About how long are you planning on being there? So we know, okay, well, we haven't seen him and we know he was supposed to be over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put out a search party, go in this direction, because that's about the way that he will come. And so me and JD as well, it's like, okay, well, every day I need to know where you're going because he's all over Colorado. So I need to know where you're going so I can know about how long it would take you if you have to walk back.
When to expect it. That way you don't have to worry. And so on and so forth. We say that a lot of times with couples that, understanding. It's funny how when we were kids, we couldn't wait for us to grow up and get grown, and we can do what we want to do. Leave my mama's accountability. My mom and daddy accountability, or my mama's accountability. But you get into a marriage, and what's one of the problems is accountability, and not realizing that, shucks, if you just checked in, and that's something that I do, and is made it or whatever, and two, you're gonna know where I'm going, because two, I don't want to be out somewhere and no one knows where I'm at, or is even looking in the right direction for me, right, putting them at a loss. So a lot of you're right, a lot of our young people are not used to understanding that, hey, communicate where you're going. Communicate when you get there. Made it something. Communicate. I'm on my way. I'm leaving, or whatever.
And I've had to tell my mom the same thing.
Yeah, there you go.
So old folks too,
across the board,
Yes.
right?
Hey,
and so
you
how
need to
did
know where you at.
Okay,
Right.
yes. And so those conversations, like y'all are saying, because y'all are touching on some very great points, because what we know that crises affects relationships, right? When we don't know how to, to deal with our own emotions, right? Our own, because I think even in preparedness, we have to be able to self-regulate, right? Having the wherewithal to be able to keep calm. What are some suggestions, even as an individual that you guys have, and then what is some advice even as far as it's relating to relationships, because y'all are continuing to say that C word that is vital to relationships, which is communication, right? What tips can y'all give us regarding self-regulation, and then as an individual, and then as a family, that communication?
In a crisis situation.
In crisis.
I mean, you have to put yourself in some situations. We recently had the baby that you saw, and my wife, we prepared to have. We delivered our baby at the house.
Awesome.
Right. So one thing that she did was we had all these plans and everything prepped. When my wife, she was like, "I'm gonna pull a false alarm and see what happens."
Oh no, she didn't.
Yes, she did. She said it's time. Man, we was running around here.
Caprice, I would do something like that.
Yeah. It was all going bad. But you know what happened is we got to see everything that we did wrong. And so when it was time, guess what?
We was
ready.
It was smooth.
It was way better, because I was like, you know what? I am not prepared. So
like I thought.
What it comes down to is being real, and being accountable. And because I'm accountable to my family, I'm accountable to my wife, and I have to be like that. You can't have real communication if there's no transparency.
Yes.
If there's no accountability, if there's no responsibility, we have to identify those roles, and then we all have to lean on each other. So I would say, you have to get a plan, but you have to be realistic too. Because you're gonna have people buying stuff that you don't need. You have to figure out. I mean, because people make the mistake all the time. They buy stuff and then they set it in the closet. They never use it, and then when something happens, you wouldn't know where to start with it anyway. So whatever you buy or invest in, you have to learn how to use it. You got to pull a false alarm.
Wow.
And go out there and try to learn where your shortcomings are, so you can learn on what you can get better at.
Like companies doing fire drills.
Yeah, fire drills.
Fire drills. That's something simple that nobody does.
It's similar.
But I think
to
also
fire
with
drill.
communication, like you said, being honest. This is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling about this. I know we've gone through so many different things, and it's like we've grown to get to the place now of, look, I'm not handling this well. I need a moment.
Wow, that's good.
And even for our children, like when they're upset, and it's like you being upset is valid, but you need to breathe, and just breathing. And that's the first thing I've taught all of my children: breathe.
Yeah.
When you're like, breathe, take a moment, breathe 3 times, deep breaths. And it's like, because you can't think if you're not breathing.
That's it.
You can't be active if you're not getting enough oxygen, because you're just so riled up in your emotions.
Panic is a killer. That's what
it is, a killer.
She knows. That's my thing. Is I tell everybody, stop panicking.
Don't panic.
You need to calm. You need to be calm in chaos, and that's hard for a lot of people to do. I mean, but when you think about it, like a lot of people don't think about common sense things, right? Like people watch military movies and be like, why are they always yelling at them? They're creating chaos because they're trying to make the soldiers respond to chaotic situations with sanity and calm. Because you're gonna, like, something simple, like people think I'm gonna just go buy a gun, and when something happens, I'm gonna pull that thing out and shoot, and I'm just gonna kill somebody. No, your adrenaline is going to be going. Can you even hit the target?
Yeah, can you aim?
Because they might be shooting back. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different things that you have to work up to, and you have to be honest about it. And because there was times where it was like, oh well, if that happens to us, what you gonna do? Do you got a plan for that? And she would go, and I go, you know what? Really, I don't. So we need to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and you know, you're not gonna be. There's no way to be prepared for everything, but having a base level of protection and planning can be the difference in 90% of the cases. You know, I mean, you never know what can happen. But as simple as feeding yourself and being able to clean yourself goes a long way in a disaster situation.
So what I hear you saying is that if you have a plan, the communication goes way better
Yes.
in a conflict situation, in a bug out situation, or in catastrophe, because
And
you
plan
already
together.
plan together, and you have
Yeah.
already communicated about what's going to be done, so there is no, you're able to be in that state of calm because you know what you was planning on doing. It's like a company having risk management, right?
Right.
I call it, you got risk management. These are some of the things. This is how we do when the crisis comes, when bad PR comes. This is what we do to handle this and handle that, and we just follow the script that we've written, right? So that is phenomenal. But look, this has been a great conversation. I know this is part two.
We need a part. Yeah. We need a part 2, 3, 7.
We need some more to go even deeper. Maybe we can. We'll see what we can do. But we are grateful that you guys came out. You took your time to share with our viewers regarding the preparedness piece. And y'all saw that he had the goods.
Yeah. Right? Did you see how swift he pulled that? Yeah.
Don't encourage. Don't get them started.
Did you hear the shriek?
It was a shriek.
Yeah, it was a shriek. I heard a shriek.
Oh, you heard a shriek. Okay.
I heard the shriek. It said shriek. I heard the shriek. So, but yeah, how could you have a contact that if somebody wanted to get in touch with you guys on some, because I know you had some resources. You had a top 20 list or something like that people who want to get started.
And did I hear something about a virtual class or something like that?
Yeah, was that a virtual
was that
class?
something that was in the works or something?
We are working on we're working on a website to make it easier for people. We're working on the 20 item list. I do have a top 20. I forgot to get that to you too. I'm glad you brought
That's
that.
All right. That's all right.
I got you know what? Call us, man. We can get in there. But Tribe 4 Surtac, that's coming. Tribe4Surtac.com. That's survival and tactical. That website is being designed as we speak, so it will be here. I will update you and get you locked in first. And then it's gonna be a blessing. A lot of people will be able to go there and get all the things that they need. And the items that are all gonna be on that website are gonna be only things that are tried, true, and tested. I'm not even gonna just put bull crap on it. It's just stuff that products that I know work for sure, and that are dependable and that are awesome. So and they're not gonna be like I've been looking at a lot of people's websites and they charge them way too much. Wow. So I'm not in it to make the money. I'm just gonna put them on the website, and so people can have them, especially in our community. And that's coming. And I'm in the works on that. My wife has told me to get a YouTube channel so that there can be videos, so that
that's right, Caprice. Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff in the works, and it is coming, and y'all will be the first to get it. For sure.
Yes. All right. We'll keep those gentle nudges. We're gonna back up my sister with those gentle nudges. I got you, sis. Right, because it is beyond time. But what I love about what you both said is that it's not too late. So I think we're going to, of course, encourage our listeners to make sure that they are having those different times of communication, right? Using the C word. And let's get this done.
Hands down.
Yes.
So with that, we are going to bid you all good night.
Yes.
And we look forward to doing this again.
Absolutely.
You guys, if you have any questions, visit us at ericandelaine.com and submit your questions that you may have for JD and Patrice. Caprice.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson.
I know all of those ladies. I'm sorry. But yeah, if you have any questions, you guys, you can send those to us, and we'll get those to them. And we're going to work on some things that some other opportunities for folks to learn. So
we'll be seeing more of them.
With that, we're going to say peace
and multiplied blessings. Thank you.